This is episode 32, American Wanderlove, with Scotty King and Leslie Medley. Welcome to the Reignite Podcast. My name is Todd Judkins, a former naval officer and corporate consultant turned life coach, and each week we'll bring you an inspirational person or message to help you discover how to reignite your life, get back in the game, and thrive in everything you do. Thanks for spending time with me today. Now let's light the fuse and reignite. Scotty King and Leslie Medley are the American adventure couple who are ambassadors for living the adventure of life. Together, they are the creators of American Wanderlove. Their mission is to influence millions of people all over the globe to live from the space of adventure every single day, experiencing a life filled with love, passion, and freedom. We believe this is the magic formula for creating your one and only unique, adventurous life. They are real. They are examples of the Reignite lifestyle. I am so proud to call these two my friend. They are the true north. So it is my pleasure to welcome to the Reignite Podcast, Scotty King and Leslie Medley, American Wanderlove. Hey, Reignite Nation. We have the pleasure of having Scotty and Leslie on the podcast from us. They're from American Wanderlove. And I think that's a key component of what you guys. Welcome to the podcast.
Hello.
Thank you, Todd. Thank you, Todd, for having us on the podcast. We are so happy to be here.
So excited to be here.
And I know we're in Bali, Indonesia right now, and it took some time to line up a time that works for you and I, and we're just have a pleasure of being on right now.
Yeah, it was really remarkable on how this really just aligned, and it's like the perfect time for you guys, the perfect time for when I like to conduct interviews. So this is what life is about. This is what flow is about. And I know you guys are on a journey, and you're in Bali right now, but this is not where this journey started. Can you take us back to where that journey really started for you guys?
Oh, yeah, it's such a good question. So this is often, we're American Wanderlove is made up of Leslie and I. We're known as the American adventure couple. And where this adventurous love story began is back in 2016. Really the end of 2015, when Leslie and I started dating around New Year's. New Year's is our anniversary. And that's when our adventurous love story began, was end of 2015, early 2016. And after 5 months of long distance dating, spending, roughly about 2 weeks together in person, we set off for backpacking through Southeast Asia for 6 months. And we both were well aware that was like the ultimate test for our relationship, whether it was going to make it or break it. And, fast forward to now, 2018, it obviously worked out really well. And we've grown a lot since then, both as individuals and within a partnership. But we were really inspired in 2016, backpacking through Southeast Asia. A couple months into the trip, we're like, okay, we love this. Like, how can we create our life around our passions, living a life of freedom? And through 2016, that experience, we came back to the States in 2017, and really
that's when we dove in.
That's when we really dove all in.
We dove all in, and we, like Scotty was saying, really, like, how can we make this our life? How can we turn our passions into profit? How can we share our message? What does this look like? And that's when the journey really began. We hired our business mentors, Meet the Freemans, and we really began the journey of gaining clarity on what that was going to look like for us. Fast forward a little bit to now we are in Bali, Indonesia. We've been in India. We've been in Nepal. And we are using American Wanderlove as our vehicle to travel the world. But for us, it's more than just traveling the world. It's sharing our message in living the adventures of life, really having people get that there is so much more to this life than the 9 to 5, than the rat race, every day waking up and doing the same things over, that you absolutely can live your life by design.
Yeah, I love it because, and for full disclosure, I know Scotty and Leslie, and, we've talked many a times before they set off on their adventure. And this was, like I said, just such a perfect fit for this podcast. But I, really want to know is what attracted you to Southeast Asia or Central Asia? It seems like you've been spending a lot of time and a lot of energy in that part of the world. What was your initial attraction to that?
Oh, the initial attraction was, I was planning a trip upon graduating. I went to Arizona State University, and I graduated in 2016. Hey, Sun Devils!
Yeah, go Devils! ASU.
Fellow Sun Devil, huh? Back I graduated in 2016, and throughout my college experience, I had never traveled abroad, and I was working 2 jobs, going to school full time, and something really, I felt a nudge to travel. Kind of reward myself for being the first person in my family to go to college and graduate from a university. And in 2016, I did research on where to travel, and what kept coming up was Southeast Asia because, it's a good place to start traveling abroad, and our dollar goes such a long way there. That's what initially attracted me. And I had planned the trip for 3 months. And then I met Leslie. And after we did a couple local trips together in the States, Havasu Pie, Sedona, snowboarding, I had invited her on the trip because she had passed the test to qualify, to be dating. There was a couple of tests of criteria within that. So
he's not kidding.
Yeah, I invited her on the trip, and that's what initially attracted. It was a good place to start for first time travelers traveling abroad. And since our experience in Southeast Asia, our first time in 2016, we went to Thailand, Laos, Cambodia, Indonesia, Vietnam, and the Philippines. It was such an incredible experience. It was just more than how far our dollar went. It became about, wow, we really connected with the culture. We were teaching English in Vietnam. We stayed at some locals' houses through Vietnam and just really connected with the locals in the Philippines and Indonesia, the culture and the lessons and the values that were learned within immersing ourselves within the culture of Southeast Asia and Central Asia has just totally transformed our perception of life and what the true values are. For us back.
For me, upon returning back to the States after our 6-month adventure in Southeast Asia, I really got and I really saw how much the Western world, or America specifically, is missing the point. Just missing the point. And in Southeast Asia, you do see a lot of devastation, and you do see third world countries. It's just more than our American conditioned brain can even wrap our head around. However, these people are the most loving, kind, generous, giving, compassionate, spiritual individuals that give, and they have nothing. They have nothing, but they have joy, and they have each other. And when I came back to America, and I came back to the rat race, came back to the 9 to 5, and I really got how much America is missing the point. And that completely ignited my passion to share my message in transforming that mindset, in transforming that thought process.
Wow. And I'm also glad you passed the trial there, Leslie. So that was.
Yes, I did with flying colors, I have to say.
I know, because I can remember talking to you a while back saying that you had a little bit of anxiety about doing that backpacking through Southeast Asia. And it sounds like when you got there, you had that discovery and everything just clicked.
Totally. We experienced the same fear, anxiety, doubt. Even before we left on this trip, it's a natural occurrence in all of us.
Yeah. And, for Reignite, one of the things that, I teach in my coaching is, really to develop an unbeatable mindset so that you can go out there and just do anything you want and live the life of passion, right? And this is what is obviously attracting, me to you and wanting you to be on this podcast. But the other things I teach is really taking your physiology and maximizing it. And it's through sleep. And the other thing I teach is through meditation. I teach a style of meditation called Vedic meditation or sound meditation. Now, I know just before you arrived in Bali, you had a meditation experience in Nepal.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, this is, and I read this on your Facebook page, and I have looked into this style of meditation, and I was intimidated, quite frankly, but you've gone through it. So can you share your experience, what you did, what type of meditation it was, and how you felt coming on the other side of this journey?
Yeah. Well, I'll share my experience, because even though it is the same style of meditation, Vipassana is a style of meditation. They're both, each individual has their own unique experience. And prior to going in this, I've been meditating for about a year, 15 to 30 minutes, 15 to 45 minutes a day. I was pretty consistent. So I thought I was okay. I'm not ready, but I have experience with a little bit of meditation. And we went into, it's been like a burning desire for us to do a 10-day silent meditation called Vipassana. And Vipassana goes back to over 2,500 years ago. It was what Buddha rediscovered in his meditation, his teaching. So the Buddha, as we know, the enlightened human being, he is a person, and this is what he taught. He taught millions of people the style of Vipassana meditation. And Vipassana means to be liberated from all your sufferings, to see the things as they really are, to see reality, to see the truth as it really is. And that comes from within us. The reality is within us, and then manifested into the world around us, in which we see or are able to see with our eyes. But first, it starts within us. And to be liberated from all the suffering within us, you go through a style, in his belief, Vipassana meditation. And the course consisted of 10 days, no talking, no journals, 2 vegetarian meals a day, a small snack and tea in the evening, and you start the day from 4 a.m. till 9:30 p.m. at night. And within that time frame, it's 11 hours of meditation in a seated position on the floor. And my experience, it was every single day, it was up and down, up and down. Everything, emotions came and went, depression, anger, resentment, guilt, sadness. And there was no stimulus causing this to happen except within my own mind. I was the one that was causing all this pain and suffering from myself. And every day was like that. And it was interesting to observe how the power of our mind, we cause our own suffering. So what I really got from the 10 days is that I cause my own suffering, I cause my own pain, I cause my own discomfort. And I also cause my own joy, I also cause my own happiness, and I cause my own gratitude. So when I practice through meditation, when I am becoming the master of my mind, I realize I can master my mind to be in the state and to control the state that I am in every single day. So I really got that I'm the kind of captain of my emotions and the captain of my life. No one else is. It all stems from within me. Even though circumstances might seem to cause something, it's really how I respond to everything.
That is probably the single most powerful conversation I've had on my podcast to date. It is everything that I talk about, everything that I encompass about having that unbeatable mindset that you just perfectly summed up, and why I choose to pursue that through meditation. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Leslie, I'm not letting you off the hook either. So, so you got, I need to hear your experience as well, because this is just amazing.
It's funny. A couple people I've talked to that know me really well are just like, I cannot believe you did that for 10 days. Like I just can't physically picture you did that. And I feel the same way. But I did. I promise I was there. You know, you take a bubbly, joyous, laughing, singing, moving person like myself and put me into a very solemn, obviously silent, very rigorous, scheduled 10-day routine of meditating for about 11 to 12 hours, going inward inside every single day. And wow, I really, obviously same thing, the ups and the downs, but what I'll say is what I really got was I got so many lessons from this experience. Would I do it again? I can't say that I would. However, it was very impactful. And one thing that I really got was it's something that I knew. And a lot of these lessons, it's like I intellectually knew them. I've heard it in a book. I've heard it on a podcast. But to really physically and emotionally and mentally experience these lessons, one being really getting how much suffering and misery we cause ourselves by adding language to everything. As human beings, we feel the need to add language to everything. And so in this course, the way it's been designed, one of the reasons you cannot speak is because you're going through your own experience, the ups and the downs, and every moment's different. And you are to observe your body sensations. That's one of the main focuses and concentrations of your mind that you're doing, is focusing on your body sensations. So if you were to be able to talk, for example, on a break or on lunch, you would maybe turn to the girl next to you and say, okay, well, how was your experience? Oh, mine was so horrible, and oh, it sucks, and just on. And we feel the need to express and explain and justify how we feel or what our experience was. But when you're experiencing these lessons from within, transcendental wisdom, it cannot be explained, because as soon as we try to explain it, it's only limited to what our mind already knows. It's only limited to what we've already experienced. And so really what we're doing at that point is limiting the experience or magnifying the experience, how much it sucks or how horrible it is, or this pain or that pain. But what I really saw was, because we weren't allowed to speak, I would have these thoughts and I would have these sensations. But because I couldn't add language to them, it was so amazing to observe how quickly, how much more everything is impermanent, passing, arising and passing away. But when we choose to add language, add meaning, all we're doing is magnifying the suffering, magnifying the misery.
Wow. And that makes so much sense. And, it's, when I'm asked, what's so special about, my book, I tell people, nothing. It's already information you already know.
Mm-hmm.
It's your interpretation of that adds the meaning to it. So that's just an experience. Now I'm going to be, okay, do I need to go do this? Because I've already looked it up. And now I have people that have actually gone through it. And I was, and this is kind of funny, because my biggest worry when I was researching this wasn't, and I'm like, wow, 10 days, no talking, no eye contact. That was tough enough, but I thought it's something I was willing to do. It was sitting there cross-legged the whole time was really the most intimidating thing for me.
Absolutely. That was my biggest, that was my concern going in, but it really showed up in, 2-3 days in. My knee, it was painful, it was uncomfortable, and being a Western person, where we never sit like that. And most of the people in the Vipassana, they were Nepalis or they were Asians. There was, maybe 20 Westerners out of, I think, over 80 people were there. So us Westerners had, for sure, me being tall, I had a hard time.
Yeah. Yeah, that was intimidating, but yeah,
thank you. Transcend.
Now I know a lot of what you talk about in your approach to life is being in that flow state of living. Tell us what does that mean to you, being in a flow state of living?
Oh, that's my word for the year is flow.
And mine's B.
And Leslie's is B. So together we made B Flow, and that's where the name for our adventure retreats came from, is B Flow Adventure Retreat, which are held in Bali, Indonesia. And where, for me, like, what's important for flow is for my whole life, I've been conditioned to be in control of things, like control my schedule, control my routine, control the direction of my path to achieve a certain goal. And this really came in handy. Like, it was a real strength of mine in school. In school, when you are in control of your schedule, you control how much you study, you control the time, the effort you put into your studies and to your programs to achieve the honors class, and that's the goal. And you can control that in a way. And for me, control for me is helps me feel safe, helps me feel secure, and helps me get a sense of comfort out of being in control. So this year is really about being in flow, and being in flow for me is not being attached to things going a certain way, or not being attached to how Scotty wants it to work out. It's being in flow with life, being in flow with nature, being in flow with God, because God, the divine being, ultimately has the control. Not Scotty, not Leslie, or not Todd. It's the divine being that we call nature, God, Jesus, whatever you want to label it as. And trusting that flow, the flow of life. And it's going to look different. Like, for me, it looks different from what I had planned, but I trust that the divine intervention of the plan is greater than Scotty's plan, with my mind, my limited mind that I cannot see. And it's been the most challenging for me. Being in flow is really difficult, or can be difficult, because my habitual patterns of control and needing it to go a certain way, the patterns, they kick in sometimes. But trusting the flow and being in that flow of the divine plan of nature of God is being unattached to things going my way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is awesome. And I totally am with you there. And just how much of a struggle it is. And, I try to live my life in flow every day. And sometimes, I walk out the door and I'm in flow right up until I turn the car onto the freeway. And then flows out the window. Yeah. But it's definitely something that, I am focused on, I am paying attention to, and something that I always want to be in my life, and making sure that I'm prescribing to that. Now, Leslie, your word was B.
Yes.
What does that mean to you?
Well, and it's been so interesting throughout, it's been 6 months of 2018, how much when we chose our words as individuals, we never even thought that they would be interconnected. But it's been so interesting to observe how much, when I'm experiencing something that's really testing my beingness, how much flow comes in. And when Scotty's really struggling or having something come up around flow, how much, the lesson is to just be. And so really seeing how much being and flow are so interconnected. Being for me is truly being who you are in every moment, exactly as it is. Being with the isness of isness. Once again, not controlling, not putting on a mask, putting on a show to fit what this person might want or need. being exactly who I am in every moment, doing the work, but at the end of the day, being exactly who I am, raising my frequency on a consistent basis enough to be in line with nature, to allow and to surrender to the flow, to allow things to come into my life, letting go of the force, letting go of the control of I have to be this way and then I'll be liked. I have to be this way and then I'll get what I want. Surrender. Complete surrender to the isness of what is, the reality, knowing that I am enough right now. Just being me is enough. I am whole and complete and perfect. And in that, the more I'm certain in that and the more I walk forward in that, I am completely blown away at what has been flowing into my life.
Now, for my audience out there listening, I'm sitting here taking notes, and I'm going to apologize up front that I am not taking notes for the show notes or any of the blog that's associated with the show. I am taking personal notes from what Scotty and Leslie just said so I can apply it to my life. That's how powerful and that's how dedicated I believe in what they're saying and what they're doing. So thank you again. And we're not even at the end yet. And I think I've thanked you 3 times. So yeah, notes. So, you know, you have some concepts out there and they are powerful concepts, but they're such simple words that I've picked up from some of the things you've written and said about. One of the words is simplify. What does it mean to simplify?
Simplify. Yeah, that applies in every aspect of our life, from our partnership, our hobbies, our interests, our living situation. It's just simple. Well, while we traveled through Nepal, we met this guy in Kathmandu, business owner, and very successful guy, very wealthy, he was like a senator or some politician of Nepal, and he's been to the States. And a few years ago, he had there's an earthquake in Nepal, like a very catastrophic earthquake, and he lost several people from his family. And a lot of issues arose. He lost businesses, he lost a lot of money, he lost a lot of things. And he realized like that was a check from the universe, from nature, from God, that checked his priorities, checked his values. He was getting caught up in complicating his life with more businesses, more employees, more connections in the global world of business. And it really taught him to simplify his life. And he discovered he was just such a special person. That's why I'm sharing the story, because through him, it just reinforced my belief of that simple is happy. And I really saw that in Nepal, like simple is happy. And for us, living simply, living with low expenses, living with no debt, living with simple relationships, not getting caught up in relationship with friends who gossip, who talk about their job, and if they're complaining about their job or complaining about their spouse, complaining about their kids, life will be more simple when you delete those people out of your life. Like life will be simple because you won't have their drama overflowing into your life, creating more complications. So living simply, living like for us, traveling, living, and while we travel, we have a budget. It's all goal oriented on a budget, and we have goals. But living simple is happy for us. Keeping things simple.
And even, back in the States, to relate it to the people that aren't traveling and the people back in America, looking at your life and where you can simplify. I know, like our mentors say, delete, delegate, and do differently. And I talk about I've had a couple videos where I share about the plate being so full. we have this plate that we're carrying around. Like, we are so blessed as Americans to be able to attend this ultimate buffet of life. And we take on this entree and we take on that entree, and oh, this looks really good. This car and this job, and oh, what about this dinner party? But yet we leave so hungry, starving. Drop the plate. Or if you're going to keep the plate, what can you remove? What is not serving you? Like, truly, if you look at your life and what matters to you, and then you compare to what you have put on your plate that you're complaining about carrying around, and my plate's just so full, I'm so busy. What can you remove? What can you completely recycle, do differently? And once we took a look at our plates and what was on there, it was really interesting to see how many things we were doing each day that didn't even align with us, that didn't even align with what we wanted to do in this life. So we removed them. Or maybe there was something that, you have to do because we are in the human element and you kind of do have to clean your house. How can we do this differently? Or I need to run errands, but I really don't want to. It sucks the life out of me. How can I do this differently? Let me call up a friend and have her go with me. Then I get to experience that joy and laughter and be with my friend, but I also get the errand done. How can I simplify all these tasks? First of all, just simply through language. If you're talking about your life like it's such a burden, it's going to be a burden. If you talk about your life like you have so much to do and you have no time, look at your relationship with time. You have no time. Time is going to give you no time. So even just simplifying through language, and then obviously through action as well.
Wow, powerful.
Okay.
So there's another concept that you have out there, and that's called minimalize. What does minimalize mean?
Yeah, minimalize is getting, like, for us, it's, if we're not using, there's so many things laying around the house that minimalizing the stuff that we use. Like, if we haven't used it in the past 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, we're most likely not going to use it again in the next 30, 60, or 90 days. So why do we have it around the house? Why do we still hold on to it? And I've discovered that, I hold on to things. So like I had these 3 shirts, these tank tops that I traveled with in 2016 that on this trip I brought back with me. And Leslie's like, Scotty, why do you have those 3 same tank tops from 2016? I'm like, I got them from different countries.
I'm like, but they're falling apart.
They're falling apart. And yeah, they kind of smell, they're faded. But I'm like, I'm traveling. And I realized I was attached to them. I was attached to these shirts that I had from 2016. And I finally got rid of them just a couple of weeks ago. And I realized that, like, a lot of people do that in the Western society or in America, is people hold on to things that they've had for years and years, and it just causes cluttering in their environment. And if their environment resembles clutter, their internal world is going to be cluttered as well. Like, for us, when we minimize the things that we have, the bills that we have, the expenses that we have, that creates a tremendous amount of freedom within us to experience. And if we feel like we have more freedom, we're going to have more room in our life, in our external world, for our passions, for our desires, for our visions, for our dreams.
Yeah.
So minimalize is huge.
Yeah. And I know you express that through your adventure retreats, and you have an adventure retreat coming up here early in the fall, late summer, I guess, depending on where you are in the world, called B-Flow Bali Adventure Retreat. What's that about?
Yes.
Wow. So B-Flow Bali, that, like we said, is taking our 2 words, be and flow, being the flow. And on our retreat, you will experience, it's really about taking the experiential learning of nature, bringing personal development and growth, not in a classroom for 8 hours, not in a seminar setting, but really in the experiential learning of nature through adventure. From what we've found over the last few years, our greatest lessons that have really stuck with us haven't come from a seminar classroom. They've come from being tested in nature, adventuring, playing in our passions, really being illuminated. Wow, this is where I've been stuck for so long. Or wow, this is where I have room to grow and expand. And so bringing the personal development and growth aspect to the adventure world. We will be doing active volcano trekking, which is going to be so sick. We're going to be exploring waterfalls, playing with monkeys. Of course, we're in Bali, so having beach days. And through this, there will be many teachings about being the flow. And a lot of what we've talked about, Todd, on this podcast, all of our teachings will be embedded through our retreat more in an experiential setting with daily yoga journeys. And of course, meditation, really incorporating our personal practices and sharing them with the people that attend our retreat.
Wow, that's incredible. So how can people get in touch with you and find out more information about this event?
Pretty much American Wanderlove everything. Wander with an A, W-A-N-D-E-R, love, L-O-V-E. We're on Facebook, American Wanderlove, Instagram at American Wanderlove, YouTube, and our website is www.americanwanderlove.com. And there is so much information about our retreats on our page.
Yeah, and I'll have all that information in the show notes out there on my social media as well. So if you're listening to this and you want to know how you can get a hold of it, just look down in the show notes. If you're looking at this on YouTube, it's down there as well and all over social media. So we'll know how to get in touch with Scotty and Leslie. And before I let you go, I always have one last question I ask all my guests, and that's, what's your definition of living a reignited life?
Living a reignited life. That's such a powerful question. I would say to awaken, to wake up to your one and only adventurous life that you have. Like, this is the only life we had the opportunity to live. So it's time to wake up, like, be real with yourself and wake up, awaken to your life, reignite your passions, reignite doing what feels good. And I promise you that will lead you to a reignited life
of freedom. Yeah. For me, reignited, the first word that came to me was reborn, rebirth. Completely shedding all the conditions, all the conditional thinking that we've been taught for the last 100 years in America, that life has to go a certain way. Completely shedding those conditional beliefs and adopting and waking up to our true selves, playing in our passions regularly, living a life of freedom, and living a life that you love.
Wow. I couldn't have said it better, and I have nothing else to add. That kind of summed it up on what this podcast is about, what my book is about, what you're teaching, what we're out there doing, just trying to change a life one person at a time and have them realize that it's really all within you, wherever you want, wherever you are, however old you are. None of that matters. It's just what you want and what your desires are. Well, Scotty, Leslie, thank you so much for being on the Reignite podcast today from Bali, Indonesia, everybody. Bali. Thank you so much, sharing your passion, sharing your experiences. You two are truly remarkable, and I'm just so happy I can call you friends. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It's been an honor being on here and sharing our message and connecting with you all the way across the world. That is the beauty of technology that we are so blessed to have. So thank you so much for having us on, and we will stay connected.
Peace, love, and adventure. Scotty and Leslie out.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Reignite podcast. If this episode resonated with you in any way, please share it with a friend. One of the greatest experiences human beings is being able to mastermind as a group, where we get together and collectively share and build off of each other's energy. Reigniting is no longer about accepting life as it comes, but designing the life you desire. We are committed to bringing you thought-leading and thought-provoking discussions to inform and motivate you in finding the joy in your journey, no matter what road you choose to take. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Todd Judkins, or send me an email at connect@toddjudkins.com. I'd love to hear about your struggles, your successes, and your thoughts. Thank you for listening, Reignite Nation. And always remember, the joy is not only in the destination, but what life has to offer in the journey. We'll be back with another full episode on Tuesday and with a short Reignite message on Friday just to jumpstart your weekend. Until then, keep that fuse lit and reignite.